Over the weekend, the Republic of Benin narrowly escaped what could have been another military takeover in the region. In the early hours of Sunday, a faction of the Beninese military led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri attacked President Patrice Talon's residence in Cotonou and seized control of the country's national television.
Tigri declared himself head of a so-called military committee for the foundation, refoundation, echoing a now familiar script in the region. But by midday, loyalist forces had regained control, but the Interior Minister confirmed the coup had been thwarted. This attempted coup is the latest in a string of military uprisings across West Africa, from Mali to Burkina Faso, Guinea to Niger. It's Benin, the next domino in what's being called the West African coup belt. Join us this morning for discussions. This and more is African Affairs Analyst, Dr. David Matsanga. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Matsanga, and good to see you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for calling me again on this important thing. I was in Mali a few days ago. I wanted to pass near Lagos to see you, but
that would have been nice.
I will be passing Lagos anytime in next year, but thank you very much for inviting me.
Good to have you, Dr. Matsanga. I mean, another coup. It's almost like a recurring theme in this West African region. What does this failed coup in the Republic of Benin tell us about the fragility of the state of democracy and democratic institutions in West Africa?
First, one man, one vote in Africa is collapsed. I want to state facts first, then come to your fragility, how fragile it is. One man, one vote in Africa is collapsed. If you look at elections across Africa, everybody, there is nobody who concedes apart from South Africa, Senegal, Ghana, Liberia, and perhaps some other state that you saw conceding peacefully and going home. The rest of the complaints spring from elections. The rest of the complaints come from bad elections. The rest of the complaints come from the factors that Olive has enumerated there. Corruption, change of constitution. You see, changing the constitution, extending the term limit of governance. You are actually making a silent coup without the military, but you are extending to 7 years. What has happened? Because you want to stay there. Look at the coups, not only in the belt. Look at Madagascar, elections. Everywhere where elections are now, one man, one vote is dying. Africa needs to go back to one thing, renaissance. Go back to reverse. Find out what's wrong with our systems. Our systems were, imposed on us, and we still have those bad manners. So this is not a surprise visit. There are several visits around there, underlining problems. Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, extended the term limit, removed the term age. Another one, there is another guy there in the corner. I will not speak about your country so that our television is not banned. There's another guy in the corner there in Cameroon. That is a time bomb in waiting. And Africans need to be told the truth. The leader of opposition has fled. He's gone. He's gone. And the guy just fabricated results, took over power. 93-year-old, he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know whether he's in London. Unfortunately, he can't come here because I've put a caveat. If he steps in this country, he will never go back. He will die on a hospital bed. Look, there are so many things that are happening in that region. Another one in Gabon removes the uniform, takes over. African Union is watching. A multiple factors, my sister and brothers, multiple factors. Corruption. You can't see oil being pumped out over you, and you have 10 children, they have not gone to school. Hello, Africa. Hello. Wake up. That is not, we can silence this one, but there is more. And for me, if you call me and you don't want me to come, I will not come. But I'll tell you the truth. There is more. There are more coups in Africa coming than democracy. One man, one vote in Africa is dead.
About our democracy. We also see the same democracy applied in other countries in the world, and they do not have these issues. Is it that Africa has its own peculiarity, especially when it comes to maybe the presidents or the leaders? Are they not playing right, or is it in any way affecting how citizens view how they carry out their mandates? I'll give an example just quickly. You did mention it briefly. Let's look at Equatorial Guinea. I'm sure you are aware of what's going on there. You also mentioned Cameroon. And then if you come down to other parts of the African continent, you also see that it seems power is being held tight. Could this be the major reason for these coups? And are we going to see more if we continue like this?
Absolutely right. I'm not a supporter of coups. I am a military man myself by background. That's why you see me still frank and open. I know what to kill, how people can die when there is a coup, when there is a revolution. We removed Idi Amin. I helped to remove Idi Amin for a cause, because Idi Amin was killing. He killed 1 million people in Uganda. But let me tell you frankly, brother, the reasons you have given. We still have a colonial hangover. If you look at your logistics, I am a member of Chatham House, a member of the International Life member of International Institute of Strategic Studies. I get all these reports. I predicted this coup in Benin coming. When I was in Mali, I told, check out the South African radio stations. I said it is coming, because you can see the signs. People were grumbling. But one of the things we have not done, we have not, removed the colonial hangover. There is a colonial hangover where some Africans are saying, excuse me, where are we heading? Why do you come to our country, collect our money, then it goes to France? Why is the French still hovering over Africa? Leave us alone. The new generation that is coming is saying, hello, what is going on here? The army listens to these complaints. The civilians have no other way out. They come, abductions, kidnap. Boko Haram is eating, not Boko Haram. Terrorists have eaten the whole of north of your countries. It has eaten them. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is calling for international support. We have a problem. The whole of that belt, north, every Ghana, where, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, everybody going up to Chad. If you study the politics of Africa and the conflicts, the insurgency, the jihadists, the Al-Qaeda, the ISIS are all there. Now, given this, the governments down seated in the capital cities, fortunately, most of these capital cities were done at the cost for the colonial master to take away the gold, the diamonds, the iron, the oil. The people inside feel the whole problem, but people at the coastal cities have no problem. They say it is okay, let them die. So these feelings are coming back to the soldiers. The soldiers see you taking money, banking money in the United States of America, in Switzerland, in Dubai, but the people are poor. Therefore, coups will come, and they are going to come. Some of them, I don't support some of the coups, like the one of Gabon, like the one of Guinea-Conakry. Those are stooges of the French hegemony. We know what they do. In fact, I know what they have done. I don't want to tell you, you will be ashamed as an African. But let's be honest. These coups come as a result of bad management of civilian governments. Why did you extend to 7 years? What for? What have you achieved in 5 years that you want to find 7 more years? And then you say, I'm not going to stand. Then it comes to that time, you say, no, I did not finish my 7 years. Look at Togo. That's another time bomb. Look, the man removed everything, then he said, we start afresh. So these extensions, removal of term limits, that safeguard constitutionalism, are part of the problems that are there around, especially the French territories. And I'm telling you, it is not yet over until it is over. these coups are going to come. They will not be, it is surprising that around there is a big country that will be shaking. By 2026 February, there will be another one. There will be many. So let's be preparing. Let's serve the people. People are not being served, my sister and brothers. They are not being served. You see oil being pumped over you when you have a pothole on the road bigger than the creator of Mount Kilimanjaro. What do you think? People are not eating. People cannot have money. People cannot take children to school. Schools are not available. Hospitals are empty. There are no drugs. What do you do? Even some countries are begging for food. What do you do? What do you do? What do civilians do? Bad elections. When it comes to bad elections, everybody, opposition, both ways. Look at the opposition in Africa. We don't have opposition in Africa. We have people who look for money from the West. Agencies like a 40 Foundation. You have seen the mistake. The 40 Foundation pumped $10 million in Tanzania. You see, evidence is there now coming out. $10 million to overthrow government. George Soros, America, bad policy is calling us a problem. Then they come around and say, oh, there is a problem. The French are now coming out. If it was not the French scrambling the airspace of Benin, that coup was successful, was going to be successful. And it is not, they've not celebrate yet. The same army that saved the President Talon could be the same army that removes him in another time. I am not a friend of the coups because I know how
President Talon. Let's talk about President Talon and what the future of leadership in Benin would look like. What is the implication of this attempted coup? What effect do you think it will have on the elections? They have their presidential elections coming up on the 26th of April, 2026, following their parliamentary elections on the 11th of January, 2026. So what effect do you think this attempted coup and the whole situation will have on the incoming elections? Especially because there have been allegations of silencing of majority opposition voices in the country.
That is exactly, the opposition has been silenced. There's a lady in prison that died, like you. She's there. She has been put, my God, you haven't, some of these countries I don't want to travel, even if I don't want my passport to be stamped in that I've gone to Benin. You know, there are certain things that these people do badly. And the African people must stand up to call them out because there is nobody. People who used to call them out, African Union is dead. They wait for the coup to happen, then they condemn. Why don't we politicize? Why don't the African Union Security Political Committee go to Benin and find out that there is a problem here and advise the government to change? That is what is happening. There's a woman in Benin who has been taken for life. They say sentenced to life. She will never see her. She will never even, because she was simply saying, why are you changing the constitution here? Why do you change? If I were President Talon, I would actually leave very quickly because the same men who saved him, one of them is going to come and say, I'm sorry, you just go home. You know these soldiers, let me tell you, I'm a soldier. You see what your bosses do. These soldiers see what these presidents do. The presidents send people to bank money in Switzerland. The soldiers are seeing. The one who overthrew Conde was the aide de camp. He used to know. He's one of those who banked Conde's money. So when he sees billions being carried banked in the Citibank, don't you think he comes for you? He wants that money too. So the soldiers are also human beings, and they have families. You have 10 children, a family of 10 children, and you have nothing to pay school fees for. And the soldier in the barracks with 1,100, 200 naira. For example, let's look at your currency. Earning 300 naira, he had to support 10 relatives. These hardships are not only hitting. The civilian governments in West Africa start thinking about changing the lives of the people. You can't tell me a country like Nigeria has no lights when you have 241 waterfalls, You can't make electricity. How will you grow your industry? You are carrying generators from China. You will finish all the generators from China. Yet you have waterfall. Don't you think for that country? So these are some of the things that the civilian government should do so that they prevent the military from intervening in some of these cases. We should not condemn the military. In fact, I'm going to the AU from here. I will be flying to the AU this evening to go through Addis Ababa to find out why this lousy chairman of AU is not even sending your Nigerian man called Ambassador Bankole to be going around these West African states to educate the people that this is what governments in civilian tell them. We created this secretariat to educate people, my people. But the African Union has been captured by France, unfortunately. ECOWAS, that Olive is talking about, reading the messages of ECOWAS. Who funds ECOWAS? Who funds ECOWAS? France. France, look at their budget. You younger people, open up your eyes. Some of us are going home. God is calling us. Open up your eyes and help, especially the media, talk the truth. Like the owner of this media station, he has talked the truth all along. I've met him several times. He talks the truth. Talk your mind out. Call these leaders. Who funds ECOWAS? ECOWAS is being funded by France. France pays 3/4 of ECOWAS money. Africans not able to fund ECOWAS. Africans not able to fund AU. Africans not able to fund East African Community. SADC. They are funded by European Union. That's why you see this Bazungu come here and give us orders. Where is the Patrice Lumumba here?
Dr. Matsanga, if I may come in here, I'm glad you mentioned the African Union. And in your submission, you said one of the reasons why this coups happen is because of bad management of citizens and the economy by this government. That's one of the reasons why we have coups. And you also mentioned the fact that they also commit what some analysts have termed civilian coups, constitutional coups, by extending term limits, age limits, and what have you. And we often hear the phrase African solutions to African problems. So what's the African Union doing about this? Is there no peer review mechanism? Why don't they condemn this extension to term limits? You mentioned the fine example of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, that we've seen. These are also coups. You know, when you have rubber stamp legislators give you, extension, unlimited term limits, it's also a coup. And when the military responds, that's when you start seeing threats and statements and all of that. So why can't we put our house together as Africans?
Charter. Elif is a lawyer. Bad charter. We have a wrong charter. Our AU charter was formed for liberation of Africa in 1963. Let's change it. We have given the task to President William Ruto of Kenya to change the charter, reform. It was for liberation, it's not longer for safeguarding these principles. We have only modified it. We have done perestroika. You were in Russia, you understand glasnost and perestroika. So we have just done a modification. Nobody condemns this civilian coups. Extension of term limit. When your term is about to end, you extend, is very dangerous. It's a coup. A civilian polite coup. It's like President Tinubu to tell people that instead of 5 years, let's go for 7 when his final term is about to end. That's a coup. Why are we not condemning that? Exactly. Your man in charge is a Nigerian at the African Union. He's called Ambassador Bankole. He has been there for 30 years, doing nothing, eating dollars every day. He doesn't even know that there was going to be a coup in Benin. Why are we having him there? Nigeria puts him there to remove human rights records, erase them. You go to AU and ask, how many people have been kidnapped in Nigeria you will not find anything. Akuna, let's talk the truth as Africans. It is good this station tells us to cry tears. Nigeria has erased the whole record of all the children who are being kidnapped in Nigeria. You can't find it in AU. Corruption has gone there. Another woman in AU, in United Nations called Amina, she doesn't see these problems. Some of us cry tears for Africa. I'm not a Nigerian. I'm not a West African. I'm a Ugandan. We see these problems. That woman in United Nations, Assistant Secretary General, doesn't she see these children abducted? And she tell the United Nations Secretary General, hey, look here, corruption. Again, she was appointed by the same regime that said, don't say anything. Our girls are being taken. How do you feel in the studio when you see your daughter you have taken to school and then you come back to collect her at 3 p.m. You don't find her. And we are here. Trump is not interested in us. Trump is interested in money. Trump, look at the agreement of Congo DRC with Trump. Look at that. You cry tears. It is pure money. Commercial democracy. Even soon, Tinubu is going to write a commercial democracy. You watch me and put this thing down here. He's going to write, come and take the oil and protect me. But the African solution is for what? AU is dead.
Dr. Matsanga,
Thank you so much.
It's been a heated morning, I must say. I think we got you on the right side of the bed, and even though it's cold out there, you've brought the heat into the studio down here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on the recent issue in Benin Republic.